Hello, it's good to have you join us again for your program Close Flow, coming to you from NTA2 Lagos Network Center. Our delight always to have you join us for this exciting program, knowing that you are out there patiently waiting for us to open the conversation again on how the story of Nigeria is unwrapping and how the narrative about this country is either tilting towards what is positive or we are just being dragged down into the mud again. Today, the world all over is looking at what the environment is saying and what the impact of the environment is going to be on us, or what our own contribution to the environment will impact on others. So, where is the story of Nigeria when it comes to our environment? Many Nigerians are actually not too sure what this noise is all about the environment, about carbon emission, about global warming, about flooding, many are just striving to make sure they can at least put a meal on the table for the family. So when you talk about the environment, it's like gravy. But we have a distinguished Nigerian with us here, one of the very first few Nigerians, if not one of the only Nigerians so far produced to read landscape architecture. Well, that tells you a different thing. Not architecture about the house you're going to live, but the architecture about the flowers, the shrubs, the landscaping around where you live, your streets, your community. You know, that is, people think it's esoteric. It might not be really esoteric. It might just be what you need to control that constant flood in your area. She is here. She's a PhD graduate, well, PhD student at University of Lagos, but she's here to let us know if we are doing the right thing with our environment and if we are in danger of allowing the environment to overwhelm us, or for us to overwhelm the environment with the way we live and therefore create a bad future for our children. So my pleasure to welcome on to Close Flow on your behalf, Fadera Williams. You're welcome to Close Flow.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning.
Yes, now quickly, it will be good for our viewers to understand what it's all about. You know, when we say landscape architecture, some people are like, what is that?
Landscape architecture is actually a recent profession in West Africa. It's as old as 1960s, 70s in South Africa. But it's an old profession. You know, the father of landscape architecture is Frederick Law Olmsted, and he was the one who first and foremost, you know, designed the park, the Central Park in New York, and he was the one who came up with the idea that we need to consider blending whatever technology we have with the environment. Several other people came up and talked about Garden City, Ebenezer Howard. That was even before Olmsted came up and made it into something that we call a profession. But basically the idea of landscape architecture is a science and an art that, you know, helps to make sure that whatever building technology you have,
deploying, yes,
be it a road, be it whatever structural
housing,
technology
yes,
you have, you know, is well synchronized with the environment. And so the landscape architect in the Western world usually is called on board even before anything is done, because
before the construction starts.
Yes, because the landscape architect will help you to know how to tilt your land. We deal with the 5 elements of landscape architecture: topography, light, we deal with water, you know, all those elements. We put it together and then say, oh, you don't have to tilt your building in this direction. You can tilt it this way. You maximize natural lighting. You don't have to always use electricity and all of that. If you tilt your building in this direction, when the winds come, when the rains fall, you will probably not even notice that, you know, because you have tilted your building in a proper way.
Fadera, wait, because see, now you are saying something that is very germane now. So those buildings that are collapsing around the whole place, are you saying to me that some of them actually could have been avoided?
Yes, they could have actually, because the landscape architect is the architect of the land, the architect of the outdoor. She's the environmental, or he's the environmental doctor. The one who tells you, look, if you do it this way, you're not going to have the proper product. So even before the architect conceptualizes the building, the landscape architect should be on board to say,
to
hey,
see that landform,
look
to see, yes.
Exactly. Look at this landform.
No. Very interesting. As a landscape architect, have you seen any environmental impact study about the landfills going around all these coastal communities in Lagos? Have you seen the environmental impact?
The environmental impact assessment?
Yes.
Yes. I've read a few.
A few?
Yes.
Are you impressed?
Actually, the problem of EIA is a very generic problem in Nigeria. I would say this, interestingly, I teach as an adjunct lecturer at University of Lagos. I teach EIA. So the problem is a problem that starts with, because what is environmental impact assessment? It's the identification, prediction, evaluation, and mitigation of factors, not just environmental factors. We have environmental factors, biophysical factors, social and cultural factors of a proposed project prior to commitment and decision making. That's a definition.
Yeah, so you're saying your
Nations
EIA would have been done long before you even signed the contract,
yes.
that somebody come and start constructing here.
Yes, that's the way it should be. That's the United Nations.
Whereas
agreed
here
definition.
we do it after we have started the project.
That's the issue. So it's a germane problem. People say, oh, where's your EIAs? It's on the way, and the building has already started. And EIA is not just about the environment. If you are, for example, bringing in foreign labor, you have to put in the socio-cultural context of that. They won't come with their wives. So we're going to have bastard children. Who's going to take care of them?
It's as bad as that.
It's part of what you should plan for. If you're having a project that spans over 5 to 10 years, you have expatriates. They are going to satisfy their human needs.
Yes, they are natural.
They're natural
cravings,
needs.
yes.
So those are factors of your projects. Apart from the environmental factors, which you balance on a checklist or a matrix system to know which indicators they are and to, give it a weighting and all of that. Apart from those ones, you have to actually look at socio-cultural factors. In fact, there are cultural factors. Some buildings should not be put at all because they are put in places that have a cultural identity for the people. An environmental impact assessment is actually something that has the involvement of people at some stages where people contribute. People are stakeholders that come to, there should be town meetings.
Now, I like what you're saying here. This is becoming quite topical. Now, because if you are going to situate it, particularly if you look at the coastal communities, I'm a little bit worried about that because of the occupation of the people in these communities.
Good. That's a very good one because that's part of the socio-cultural factors we are talking about. The economic aspect of it. People are going to be displaced.
Yes.
And when they are displaced, they don't have, the only thing they've known all their life
is fishing.
Is fishing. So, we said identification, prediction, evaluation, and mitigation. So usually what should be done is prior to commitment and decision making, you have to first and foremost do a screening. Do I need an EIA or not?
On this particular
project. If I need an EIA, then you have to do a scoping. The scoping involves the people,
all the stakeholders.
All the stakeholders. Because at the scoping level, we do what is called terms of reference. We have to agree on our terms of reference. What are the things, what are the factors that we all agree this project is going to impact upon us? You as a developer or whoever is coming in to construct may not even have a knowledge of the history of the place. The people will educate you. That place this is where we worship you don't build around here. It's significant to us, or this is our livelihood. What are you going to do about our livelihood? That is where you determine.
Now, Fadera, as a professional, at what point do we begin to interrogate decision makers on this? At what point? I mean, as citizens, do we take them on as citizens, or do we have social groups to actually take on this kind of?
Okay, so in the Western world,
yes,
let's come from there. The process is as I've stated: screening, scoping. After the scoping, you prepare a preliminary report. After preparing a preliminary report, there is another public stakeholder meeting.
So all these things are institutionalized.
They are institutionalized.
It's not like somebody will just wake up and say, no,
No.
go and build me
No.
an estate at the Marine Beach.
No, no. Even in Nigeria, we actually have the laws. The problem with Nigeria is not the laws. We have the laws.
But the implementation.
The implementation and the enforcement is what is faulty. Because people think that Nigeria is a place where you can
do anything.
Yes, you can dump everything on us. But it's not true. Nigerians are one of the most fantastic and most resourceful people you can find on the planet. Nigerians are strong people. And we should not allow people to just dump things on us. We have laws. Why not enforce our laws by ourselves? But because of what someone's going to put food on the table or some greed somewhere, someone decides, look, I'm just going to turn a blind eye.
And allow it to happen.
Yeah, turning that blind eye is going to affect
the future.
Yes.
Okay. We are talking about the future because we are talking about the World Environment Day. So, my worry is this. What exactly would the World Environment Day means to a Nigerian? Or I mean, the average Nigerian on the street, in his marketplace, or he's gone to his shop selling bolly, and they are saying, what is that?
Actually, as an environmental activist, I come across this question most of the times. You know, there was a time we did a tree planting drive. We distributed trees to people at no cost, and we told them, you know what, we're not going to charge you for these trees, but just go and plant them. You know, people came because Nigerians, they like free things, you know, free things, anything free. But some people ask the question, is it tree that I'm going to eat?
This tree not food?
Not food. That was the question. Am I going to eat this tree? And this is where we need to understand something. Every human being is a product of his environment. That is the truth. We are products of our environment.
So the way we turn out is because of the environment?
Yes. And the interesting thing is we are also shapers of our environment. So, more or less, we are only producing what we have shaped. And we are only a product of this production. It's amazing, but we are products of our environment and we shape our environment. We go abroad and we see the air quality, we see all those things.
Yes.
Human beings did it. The environment is a natural system which can exist without human beings anyway.
Yes, in its own state.
Yes, in its own state. But when humans begin to cohabit with nature, you know, the theme of the World Environment Day this year is connecting with nature.
Now, I was going to ask you how that resonates, but we'll come back to that.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go on with your narrative first.
So, I mean, when people, you know, say, my environment doesn't matter, the truth is that if your environment is bad, if there are flooding and your roads cannot be, you know, motorable, you will not go, the doctors will not work. The businessman will not go to the market. The teacher will not be able to go to school. It affects all of us. And the environment is the life support system of the human planet. And you know when we say life support, we say someone is on life support.
Yes.
That means if you take out that life support,
everything goes down.
Everything goes down. So when people are talking about the environment, it's not that people don't have what to do or that, but because, you know, in Nigeria, we are very reactionary.
Rather than
precautionary. Yes. We are very reactionary. We wait for it to happen. In 2012, we lost close to 30 to 36, you know, villages to flooding.
Flooding, yes.
And it was just because of a little release of water from a neighboring country, vis-a-vis the increased rainwater level, precipitation based on climate variability. And then it swept across 30 out of 36 states in Nigeria. 30 out of 36 states were affected. Over 500,000 people were displaced. I'm sure till today, some people are still displaced.
Yes.
They've not yet gotten their acts together. 2012. But it was then that government began to think about, oh, let's not have, what's it called, sites, refugee or, you know,
internally displaced persons locations.
You know,
yes.
it is amazing. But meanwhile, we don't even have the proper forecast mechanisms to tell people.
No, you're jumping the gun. Because, yes, we're going to come to all those things. My worry is that, because now you've just said it, so we don't have any surveillance. We don't have any method to predict, to determine, up to date, yes. So how bad is that for you as a scientist?
Wow, it's not acceptable. Nigeria is in fact, internationally, Nigeria is ranked, I think, third, between first and fifth, when we talk about social media participation.
Yes.
We decide the things we want to be at the forefront of in this country. We decide the things we want to,
Excel
at. But things that actually affect us, that make us go forward, we seem to not take cognizance of those things. The Nigerian Meteorological NIMET, they are supposed to be equipped with the state-of-the-art facilities to be able to tell us, predict to us the weather conditions, and also predict to us climatic situations on a scale of 1 to 5 years. And they should make, yes, it's done all over the world.
Fadera.
Yes.
1 to 5 years.
Yes. I mean, Hurricane Rita, Hurricane Katrina, they don't know it.
Yes.
They don't know it.
Yes.
It's not in a month. They get to know, they already have prediction mechanism. They begin to see that, okay, there's a likelihood. So when
this can occur.
When it gets closer and they begin to see that the signs are getting, they now say they give people time to evacuate.
Yes.
They give people time to even relocate and be
ready and be prepared.
Yes, before it comes on them. Yes, we know that nature has a way of springing surprises. But then when you have prediction mechanisms, the surprises are not too many.
Well, you have almost answered the question, because you see, the World Environment Day theme for this year is connecting with nature. My worry is that in third world countries like Nigeria, natural disasters seem to be everyday thing, just like you just said now. So it's like we know it's going to happen, and we are helpless. It's like it's fatalistic. We are just there. We are just...
Exactly. That is why I say to people that we have a role to play as Nigerians, because we ourselves, we have a power, and our power is in our numbers. We are many. We have on record 150 million. I'm sure we are
175 million.
I'm sure we are close to 200 million, if not more than 200 million. Because recently I was watching some social media things where some people were, lost in Libya, and I was like, and we didn't even feel their absence. Like, that's how many we are.
Yes.
And this power of numbers can work for us. There was a time I came up with a drive, and I'm still so passionate. Every house a tree.
Every house.
Every house a tree.
Every house in Nigeria.
Yes, every house.
Whether in the urban or in the rural
area. Every house a tree. If we have every house a tree, that means we have close to 200 million trees in Nigeria. And that in itself is powerful, because we are already changing the microclimate. The microclimate
by that.
Yes, because for example, Lagos State, the metropolitan area, occupies 37% of the whole state.
Yes.
And of this metropolitan area, we actually have 83% of it as residential land use. So that means that residential areas are a very significant site of city sustainability. They are a place to pitch our tent if we want to create a sustainable city. The whole world is talking about eco city, city with lungs, green city, green infrastructure. I mean, name it. Different names coming up for the same
green technology, where the Chinese are already living now.
The same paradigm. So we need to look at what we can do as individuals. Little drops of water that make a mighty ocean. We don't have to wait for the government. Yeah, the government should arise and do what they should do. But we also can
as citizens.
Yes, we should do something. Don't say because you cannot put food on your table. The truth is that if that environment is not good, and food and you none of it.
Okay, yes. That brings me to the question of actually how the environment impacts, on all of us. Because one thing I've said to myself is this. Aside from the broadest global initiative, so do we have local measures? Are we deploying local measures to deal with peculiarities of our own environment? Okay, you have just touched at one point now. So hygiene, for instance, we are still dealing with meningitis. We are still dealing with malaria. We are still dealing with cholera. I mean, these are all communicable diseases from the environment. So
now, another thing that we have talked about, we've argued this back and forth in different balances. What are the local governments doing? What are the local governments doing? The grassroots is coordinated by the local government.
So you're saying they have a primary responsibility.
A primary role, because they are the ones who interface directly with the people at that level. And they're the ones that can champion these causes.
Wow.
So we need the local government to be environmentally friendly, environmentally proactive and ready. It doesn't cost much. If we all of us decide not to drop our pure water sachets on the streets, that in itself takes care of like between 8 and 10 million pure water sachets on a daily basis in the metropolis of Lagos, loading the canals, blocking the water flows. If that is just what the local government will ensure, that, okay, in this local government we are going to penalize anybody we find dropping, and we say it is not possible. It's not true. It is very possible. I remember before the advent of LASMA, people used to go about in Lagos without using their seatbelts. It's more or less, you don't even think about it now. It's like, I don't know how to put it. It's like an unconscious activity. It has become part of you to use your seatbelt. Because somebody decided that we're going to enforce this. We're going to make people, and the truth is the seatbelt was actually good for us. Because when you brake suddenly, it reduces the impact level, and it was good for us. But because we are Nigerians, does seatbelt put food on my table? Until someone said, no, you know what? I will penalize you for not protecting yourself. I will penalize you for not preventing flooding in your area. I will penalize you for not preventing mosquito in your area. In any case, if you prevent it, it's for your own good. But I will penalize you if you don't prevent it. Before long, it will become a culture. People will just, you don't know who is looking at me. I can't afford to throw my pure water sachet on the road. That is where it comes from. When we begin to mobilize a critical mass of minds, a shift in our thinking as Nigerians, that's where the change starts. Then the government will now have to listen to us.
Well, okay, you're not a politician yet. Now, the next question would be that, but are we deploying quality? It's very, very key you understand this, and you try and let our viewers see what we're talking about here. Are we deploying quality and appropriate leadership responses to environmental issues in Nigeria? No, you have to be frank about this. Are we deploying, seriously, quality and appropriate leadership responses?
I don't think so. I do not think so. I don't think so.
No apologies about that. You are really frank about this.
No, I'm being sincere. I do not think that Nigeria is taking the front line where it comes to environmental issues. I don't think so.
Either at political leadership level, corporate level, you don't think?
I don't think so. I think that there's a lot much more that can be done. The truth is that, let's take it from the corporate level first. Nigeria is a place we Nigerians complain. A lot of Nigerians complain and say, oh, this environment is not enabling enough for me. I'm not making money. I'm not successful. But day in, day out, expatriates come into this country.
And they pitch their tent here.
They clean out. They put their, their tentacles like a tapeworm. They do not go anywhere. And they make the kind of money they can't make even in their own home country. I mean, we have cases of several multinationals. Several multinationals.
Who are permanently relocated to Nigeria.
Yes. They say there's no power, they say there's no electricity, but they are still here. So what is it that they are seeing that we are not seeing? That's one. Number two, these people come and take us for granted. Things that we cannot do, we as Nigerians cannot do in their own country.
They will do here.
They'll come and do it here. What are they doing about the environment? Most of them are polluting the environment. And we ourselves are the ones encouraging them to do it. Because somebody is in a position to make sure that he checks the environmental quality of the effluents from the industrial places. He refuses to do his job because...
No, he might do the job, but he will get gratification.
He will not... that means he's compromised already. You cannot rely on the reports that he's going to give if he is going to be gratified for doing his job. You know,
he has become like a gatekeeper. So
exactly. So at the end of the day, you know, they feel confident that
nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen. No shaking. As long as I but we are not. We are saying that
we have to stop that.
Protect our environment. You are benefiting from this environment. protect it. You are benefiting from these people. Don't kill them in the bid to benefit from them. You know, that's on the corporate side. On the government side, the truth about the matter, there are funds. There are many funds.
No, I'll come back to the funds. I just want to look at the leadership level first, the quality of leadership.
Okay.
Now, we have spoken about the corporate leadership.
Yes.
Okay, so how about political leadership and the way we look at the environment? Do we have the right predisposition?
Okay, I said no. And I would now back that up by saying, who are the people who are in charge of our environment? Who are the people who are the ministers? Who are the special advisors to the
or even the governors?
Who are the commissioners for environment? Who are they? They are people that have absolutely no idea
what they are dealing with,
what the environment is all about. And I have no problems with you not being a technocrat
or being an expert.
But can you not work with experts? Can you not work with people? I tell you, when we go for international conference of parties, meetings, COP this, COP that, you find out that countries in the South Americas, in the Latin Americas, are always prepared. Whenever they say anything, they already have their reports, they have their plan, they have this. So automatically, they get the funding. And they go back.
Say that again. Let our viewers understand what you're saying. If you go to international forums, you are saying South Americans,
Latin America, Mexico,
like Brazil, Chile.
They are the ones always ready. Always ready. You can Google it. I mean, it's all over it's
they have done a study of the environmental impact.
Yes, they're always prepared. They have their charter, they have the landscape charter, they have this, anything environment, they are very ready. Ready to say, and Nigeria is the mother of West Africa.
Yes.
If we take the lead, I mean, West African countries will follow. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the black skin. We don't have black brains. Our brains are gray matter, just like every brain in the world.
I like that. Because I've asked that question somewhere before. That is it a genetic factor? Is it because that we are black that our genes have changed?
I don't think so. In fact, I'm sure it's not. Because in fact, according to some research, the white is a product of the black, according to some research. Because the albino gene can only be gotten from the black race. Like, you can't have a white albino. It's only from the blacks. And according to researchers, they've said that the Caucasian gene comes from that albinic trait. So it can be traced to us. But I mean, that's for...
I know. And that's a different...
genetics
yes,
to
look at. Yes.
But truthfully, our brains, our gray matter is in no way inferior to the gray matter of
but like you said, we have now become products of the environment we have created.
Yes. That is it. We have become products of the environment we have created. That's why I said the first thing we need to do is to change the mindset of people. We need to change the way we think about the environment.
Rewire our brain.
Yes, we need to rewire, reposition our thinking. And I am passionate about young people doing this. Because this year, we have a goal to raise 100,000 climate change ambassadors. And I believe that it's going to be done. Because already this year, we're going to inaugurate 500 of them. And of course, I'm sure you'll be there to, witness to this. And I believe that once we have that 500, with the system we are using, next year, we're going to inaugurate 10,000. We want to change people's thinking. Change the way you think about these things. It's not outside of your life. It's part of your life.
Yes.
It's part of your life.
It's easy for us in this environment to externalize it.
Yes.
So it's not, it's on the streets.
Do you know something, sir? If you have a plant, this is an artificial plant.
Yes.
If you have a natural plant here,
in the house,
in this place, it serves us oxygen without our eyes knowing seeing it. And that oxygen purifies the air quality. That oxygen purifies the respiratory system. The oxygenated blood, deoxygenated blood, all those things that we learned when we're in primary, secondary school, those things are real.
No. So what you are saying to our viewers is that when you have a plant at home, a live plant, an organic plant, not the decorative one, because all over the place you can see all these ones everywhere now.
Yes, not the decorative one. According to research, one tree serves a family of 4 the oxygen they need for the rest of their lives.
Say that again.
Yes.
Say to our viewers.
One well-grown tree serves a family of 4 the oxygen they need for the rest of their lives.
You are saying a family of 4?
Yes, a family of 4.
Father, mother, 2 children.
2 children.
Once they have a tree in their house,
yes,
all the oxygen they need to breathe.
Yes. Let's imagine that the whole place were isolated. And
Only
there was
them. Nothing else again.
No air. No air. It serves them the oxygen. And oxygen purifies. It has a purifying element to it. Increases your life expectancy. That's why people in the rural areas live longer than people in the
100 years plus
urban areas.
And they don't go to the clinic.
They don't go
whereas, okay, don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Fadera has just opened a can of worms, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't know how many of you are going to react to that, especially for some of us who are living in coastal areas and some of us who are living in Ajegule, where you don't want to plant a tree. But she's saying to you that just one tree might just change the way your life turns out. Stay with us.
When we came up with the team, say Operation Zero Tolerance, we were saying zero tolerance to deaths on our roads. We were saying having zero crashes, yes, on our roads.
We'd love to see you in Dashiki, or Dandogo, or Agbada.
The youth still have a very big chance of making a very big difference. That's why I started a lot of projects.
We have not been able to distinguish traditional medicine from traditional religion. So that one has...
Every edition is an arresting conversation with distinguished Nigerians from various strata of the society, bearing their minds on how we can realize the Nigeria of our dreams. Join us live on Close Flow, Monday and Friday, every week here on NTA2 Lagos Network Center. Close Flow. The conversation is about you.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still with NTA2 Lagos Network Center. And we still have Fadera here on Close Flow. Just before we went on that break, she actually was trying to challenge all of us. Get a tree, plant a tree in your house, in your neighborhood, and then you can purify your entire life. That is incredible. But now, you said something about funds being available to help push this campaign.
Yes.
One thing that comes to my mind immediately is the ecological funds.
Exactly.
Now, oh, you said exactly. That fund is a Nigerian fund, I know. But the application, is it the right way we are applying it, or we have politicized it, we have Nigerianized it? Because the Nigerian factor, we always come to play.
It will always come to play. The truth is, we have Nigerianized it. And we're not saying, you know, that it's absolutely, we can take the Nigerian factor out of the context, absolutely. But what we are saying is, can we not dedicate a finite, substantial percentage of this to environmental issues?
The real issues.
The real issues. There are real issues. Gully erosion is a real issue.
Especially in the southeast.
Yes, coastal erosion. I was with Mr. Desmond Majakudumi some weeks back, where
He's been on this show.
Yes, where we
Very
went
good friend of the house.
to talk about saving the coast.
Yes.
The coast, in fact, there was a picture of that same place at Ibejuleki, like 5 years
It's
ago.
back,
20,
yes.
And it was like 10 meters, but now
10 meters away from the land.
Yes.
But now, right now, the water is just right next door.
It's amazing. But the truth is, it's going to get worse. I tell people, a lot of my friends say, I'm too passionate about this environmental thing, because I tell them, I say, I'd rather buy a land in Alakuko, Alagbado,
rather than
Lekki, because the truth is that Lagos is below sea level. That's
naturally.
Naturally. Lagos is a low-lying littoral body. And the coastal areas of Lagos, if there is any single percentage increase in the global sea level rise, Lagos will cease to exist, especially coastal Lagos. It will cease to exist.
Now, Fadera, wait a minute. I mean, you cannot be saying this. I mean, we have construction, massive construction going on right here in front of NTA.
That is why we need to stop saying, oh, Africa is not industrialized. We don't have this, we don't have that. I stand to be corrected. We don't have data to say that we are not contributing effectively to the greenhouse gas emissions. simply because we are not industrialized. Because truth is, we still depend solely on a lot of fossil fuel burning for several of our activities. Well, it may not be as much as the Western world, but to say it is 3 to 5%, I stand to be corrected. We need to research on it and really get the appropriate data to be able to say this is what Africa is still generating. And besides, we don't have to wait until we start generating so much
before we begin to act.
Yes, can we not begin to plan? Okay, we want to be industrialized. Can we not begin to make sure we have green cities, green, industrial areas?
Yes, I've asked that question before. Now, China is leading in terms of green technology. Israel is leading in terms of solar energy and all that. And we seem to have solar power like
no man's business. You see, renewable energy is one thing that where the capacity, because it's actually expensive to install, but that is where the capacity of government comes in. That is where capacity of government comes in. I'm not a political expert, but I know that if there could be a decentralization of power, it could bring about innovation in the way individual
each
states,
communities can begin to now say, look, this is what I have.
This is what I want to do with what I have. Because sometimes this bringing everything to the center, in any case, we don't really practice true federalism. So why
must we now
centralize it? If you tell people, look, we are going to decentralize this, people will begin to think on their own. What can we do? Who knew that Kebbi State could produce rice? Who knew? Necessity is the mother of invention. So we need to come out. You see, I believe in Nigeria. I believe in this country because I know that I was not created in Nigeria by chance. Where am I going to go that I'm going to be a first-class citizen except my country? Wherever I go, no matter how fantastic and intelligent I am, I am a second-class citizen. So we need to develop Nigeria by ourselves with our own resources, with our own intellectual resources, with our own financial resources. Let's not be greedy, because at the end of the day, that greed will not bring about collective good that will even impact on our future generations.
Some people have wondered that perhaps we need to also have some kind of psychoanalysis, especially for those who are salting money away, because after all, if you don't let the money grow, then
money is just a finite resource that is, it's just a currency that is an exchange of value.
Yes.
So if there's no value created, the money becomes useless. You are very correct about that. I totally agree.
Okay, quickly, let's thank all our viewers who have joined us in this conversation. I will try and run your questions and your comments through Fadera and see how she deals with that. Sarah from Egbeda, it's good to see a woman delving into such a unique profession. Thumbs up.
Thank you.
That is Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much.
Then, Jide from Amuwa-Odofin, does it mean that Nigerian architects are not aware of all these features you mentioned, judging from the rate of which buildings are collapsing?
Okay, that's from Amuwa-Odofin.
Yes, that's Jide. Yes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something, that the built environment is not made up of only architects. We have urban planners, we have architects, we have engineers, we have landscape architects, we have quantity surveyors, there are different
a whole lot of
professions in the built environment. And the truth is, all of these people have a role to play in making sure that building does not collapse. For example, the environmental impact assessment that is required for buildings beyond a particular level of high rise are looked at the authority level, at the physical planning unit, by mostly urban planners. Yes. They are not even architects. They are mostly urban planners. That is also something that is deficient, because we should actually have architects in that position.
Yes.
Because the urban planners cannot understand the drawing.
The final impact.
Yes. So that's another deficiency. So, but let's imagine that they are there. So that's one thing. The engineers who give the structural plan of that building is another profession
element,
that we have to look at, Then before you now talk about the architect conceptualizes a drawing, but he only just tells you how fantastic this place can look. He's not the one that is going to dot the I's and cross the T's. So it's a compendium of different people, Jide. So it's not that the architects don't know, but if they know and they've done their part, and the urban planner, the engineer don't do their part, then we still have the same thing.
Like Fadera said to us, the landscape architect would have actually seen
Exactly.
the layout of the land first before.
Yes.
Okay, so Jide, that goes there for you. Daniel from Aja, does it mean that one must consider the weather condition before putting up a structure?
Not weather condition.
Not weather condition.
Weather is actually the atmospheric situation or condition of any place at any given time. So, for example, today we have a clear weather. You know, tomorrow we may have a rainy weather. Next tomorrow may be a sunny weather. So weather is not it's not the condition that you look at. What you need to look at, you need to look at the landscape elements. For example, you need to look at your north arrow. Where is the direction of the sun coming from? If you look at where the direction of the sun is coming from, you can build your building in such a way that you maximize sunlight. And it will reduce your need to switch on your light during the day because you've maximized. Sometimes we build against the sun. And
so
then,
you are in
your house is
darkness
dark.
perpetually.
Yes, throughout. Your house is dark. Your house is never, you know, then you also have to look at the lighting. How many windows do you have in your house? Do you understand? Those are the things. Then we also look at the slope of the land. Some lands do not need to be filled. You can build
the way
with
the land is lying.
If it's a hilly area, you can build with the hill.
Yes.
You don't need to bulldoze it. It's amazing.
Daniel, I hope you're hearing all that. So that's what Fadera is sharing with us here. Buki from Ebutemeta, don't you think that environmental campaigns should begin from primary school level, like what used to be done at Just 38 some years back when children were targeted to plant and nurture a tree?
Fantastic. That's a good, what's her name?
That's Bukola from Ebutemeta.
Buki, that's a fantastic contribution you've just given. It's true. We need to catch them young. And that's part of the things my NGO is doing. We are actually going down to the youth, young children and the youth. Because the truth is, even these climate change problems we are talking about, the impact of climate change will be most felt in their own future.
Yes, years ahead.
I mean, I don't know if you'll be around for another 50 years.
Where some of these coastal lands will have disappeared.
Exactly. So, I mean, 50 years time, I probably would be already, shaking. So, but when we look at teenagers, 10-year-olds, if they already have that training now, then they can pass it to their children.
Prepare for the future.
Prepare, and it also will inform the kind of education. I have, in fact, our NGO proposed a bill to the National Assembly, the House of Representatives, that the curriculum of primary and secondary schools should include climate change education. We proposed that bill, and through a friend of mine who works with the honorable...
one of the honorables.
Yes, one of the honorables. And we sent in the bill that, look, we believe climate change education should be included in the curriculum because we need people to start thinking in that direction. We need to have climate scientists. We need to have people that will be renewable energy experts.
We need to have landscape architects.
Yeah, we need to have landscape architects. We need to produce landscape architects. Nigeria needs about 600,000 landscape architects. I don't think we are up to 100. Both foreign trained, Nigerian trained. I am the first one produced by a Nigerian university, by extension produced by a West African university. So you can imagine what we are talking about. We need... And
if Nigeria has only 600, that means the whole of West Africa probably we have only 100.
No, we don't have 600. We have less than 100.
Bukola, I hope she's going to do something about your suggestion, trying to make sure we start from the grassroots from primary school level. Hajara from Obalinde, how possible will it be protecting our environment and also taking from the same environment, e.g. trees for shades, tree cut down for building, trees for food, trees for this and for that, and yet she wants to know how is that possible?
Yes. Actually, the environment, Hajara, that's a good contribution. The environment actually, like we said, is a product of our own shaping. The truth is, we have land uses for which we might need to cut down some trees, for which we might need to... But the truth is, when we cut down, do we plant again?
Do we replant?
Do we replant? When we do deforestation, do we commit to afforestation? I want to commend the government of Lagos State for having, at least opened up this greening, tree planting of a thing. And I want to encourage them to continue. Because the truth is, we need more of political will to do this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now the thing would be for me to come back to the question of funding, because that actually seems to be the biggest question mark on the Nigerian landscape. So, all over the world, some countries have been able to appropriate funds from international community.
Yes.
But Nigeria, we don't seem to have that.
Okay, for example, there should be an international landscape convention which has been proposed at the United Nations level, and the International Federation of Landscape Architects, the International Union of Architects, and the ISOCAP for the urban planners, they've all agreed that we need an international landscape convention that will result in a landscape charter for each region. Now, Europe has done theirs. Of course, the South Americas have done theirs. Middle East are in the process of doing theirs, if they haven't done it. But
Africa.
So, West Africa. The truth is, we have experts here. I say it anyway. Nigerians are highly resourceful and highly intelligent people. And we are strong.
So what is holding us back?
We are being held back because there is a mentality that the environment is not important. And we need to destroy that mentality. We need to change that mentality. We need to remodel our thinking. The environment is as critical as food on your table. Because if that environment is destroyed, you will not be able to eat. It's just like talking about peace and stability. You say peace and stability is not important because it doesn't put food on my table. But if there's war today, will you be able to go to work? So these are things. We need not be reactionary about things like stability and peace. We need to be precautionary. If there's anything that's bringing about an agitation that would threaten our peace as a nation, we should nip it in the bud. That's exactly the same attitude we should have to our environment. Anything that is going to bring about a long-term destruction of life and property environmentally should be nipped in the bud. And we should put more emphasis on the enforcement agencies. We should look into them. We should audit their work. Let there be a performance audit. What are you really doing? The wetlands in Lagos, Lagos is naturally a coastal region.
Yes.
It has more water than
land. Yes.
And Lagos has wetlands. Wetlands are natural buffers that are supposed to, take excess water and then keep it. And when the water level goes down, they release it. But we have a lot of sand filling of wetlands. We have lost 75 to 80% of our wetlands in the last 45 years. And there are people who are approving. It's not that. And people are approving that. They are approving the building of. In fact, government themselves are part of the people that encroach.
Yes, because government is not land filling to do estates
build this and to build that. Meanwhile, if you want to reclaim, like the Netherlands, you can go to the ocean, like Eco Atlantic is trying to do. You can do that. You don't have to go to the wetlands, Nisheri. All those places that nature has provided to keep us safe. But you know what? The water will always find its level. It will come back to your house.
Now let's come. Let's before somebody will say that Fadera has come to speak. Let's look at. Excuse me. Let's look at what we can now do.
Bless you.
To change all that. So we have said, oh, I think I have a bad cough here now. So we have said, okay, now the impact on sectors. What happens to the environment, for instance, when we are looking at waste management?
Wow, that's another huge area you've come to. Waste management. Waste management, now, let me say this. We also have a bad mentality where waste is concerned. Because Nigerians, all over the world, I think the world produces close to 1 trillion tons of waste a year. And Nigerians contribute, I think, about 15% of that. Bless you. And you know the interesting thing is that Nigerians have an attitude of taking food they cannot finish, even when they pay for it. I'm just trying to tell you our waste culture. We have an attitude of living that, because whether you pay, whether you put it on or use it or you don't use it, NEPA will come. PHCN, now they call it, will come to charge you before the advent of prepaid meters and all of that. So people have this wasted mentality. They switch on their light, they are going out, they put on the AC. I'm going to pay. People go to the restaurant, buy food they cannot finish. They buy what they know they cannot finish, and they eat and leave some. That
becomes a waste.
It becomes waste. So what is happening is that the waste has now become, for us Nigerians, a resource. Yes, because we produce so much waste that we can actually do business with it.
Wow.
In the place of recycling.
Okay, I see the point you're making here now.
So yes, we need to change the mentality of waste. That's one side. But okay, we already have this mentality. We are producing waste.
What do you do with it?
What do we do with the waste? What we should do with the waste is to reuse,
that waste.
recycle the waste. And you know the interesting thing? There is a particular building I got to hear of, owned by, is it Chevron now or Shell, in Warri, Port Harcourt, the South. That building produces its water. It's an ecological building. It's eco all the way. It's a green building. It recycles the waste. It does biofiltration. You know, they have solar energy. It's amazing. That's to tell you how powerful waste can be. So we can use waste to generate biofuels. In China, they do that a lot.
Yes.
They use it to generate biofuels. They also use it to generate fertilizer. So this same waste that we look at as and dump is useful. And many are even springing up in Nigeria now, doing things concerning waste, PET bottles, pure water sachets, you know, plastic, paper waste, glass waste. So our waste, if we start to adequately manage our waste.
Yes.
For example, we can start by sorting. You as an individual, in your home, you can sort. In my house, we sort. Well, because I'm a landscape architect and because I use the pure water sachets, so I use them. So the bottles, the seaway, whatever, I use them. So nothing goes to waste. We reuse them. We recycle them.
Now, what you're saying is this. That can be consciously learned. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
That at homes, parents will let their children know that nothing is actually a waste.
Yes. That is the mentality change. And then let us reduce the culture of taking what we don't need. It's part of it's a culture that has pervaded people's mentalities even to when they are put in positions of authority. Do you need 20 cars? Why should you have a house that you have 20 cars in your house? Why? What do you want to use it for? Waste. That mentality of waste. Rather than making everything equal, making the sustainable development.
Yes, and available to as many as
possible. Why should we have 1 billionaire when we can have 150 millionaires? So this is the mentality we need to change as Nigerians. And this is how we're going to bring about waste management to empower people, because again, we'll create jobs.
Yes, yes.
And creating jobs, we're also handling the waste problem.
Now, so how do you react to the scavengers at some of the dump sites around most urban cities?
They are very useful in the chain for waste management. But what we need to do is to encourage them by making their work, you know, more standardized or more lucrative for them. Maybe having something like an association that monitors
management.
Yes,
so we are not managing.
We are not managing our scavengers very well. They are very useful. They are very important in that waste management chain. Very, very useful. And all over the world, they are recognized as important elements of the waste management chain. But we should not neglect them. We shouldn't leave them to just do what they like. We should train them, even put them through training. What they are doing is not what everybody can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very important that we maximize. One of the things I say about Nigeria is that Nigeria is a blessed country, blessed with a lot of resources, blessed with a lot of people, blessed with a lot of things, but how are we managing our resources?
How are we managing our assets?
How are we managing what we have? Some countries don't have, for example, the Bahamas, the Caribbean islands, have only the water that Lagos has.
Yet
75 to 80% of their revenue is generated from that water. What is Lagos doing with her water?
Okay, I'm not sure we can finish with her. If we continue with this conversation, I'm sure she's going to be here till next year because she's already asked another question. What is Lagos doing with this water? So, water economy, rest of the world, some people are doing so much with theirs, but we are still feeling our own. Well, thank you so much, Fadera, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we will keep the conversation going, of course, because you're going to launch the...
Yes, the 100,000 climate change ambassadors.
Yes.
So we are going to have a Nigerian Youth Climate Change Summit in November.
Okay.
Yeah, and there we inaugurate the 500, the first 500. You know, the method we are using is we are distilling modules from basic training in climate change from the United Nations module. So we are using that to train. So we train people,
And
they
deploy
train
them,
people.
yes.
Those people train people, those people train another set of people. So
I
it's
like
a
that.
train the trainer system, like a network system. And
Yes.
it works in Nigeria. MMM, all these network things work in Nigeria.
And that's what you want to do.
Yes,
too.
and it's
but
been
for
working
the environment.
For the environment.
All right, so the conversation continues, www.ntlsa.com, www.youtube.com/NTA to Lagos. Go and search there with Close Flow, with Fadera Williams, and don't forget what she has said. Even a tree in your house may suffer of you if you plant it well. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.